Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says Kyrie Irving is a comical buffoon. He says Kyrie Irving is ignorant and that Nike should cut ties with Kyrie Irving for his stances being different than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's stances. Is he correct? I say no. Here's why. Kareem is talking about Kyrie Irving currently on his latest article, saying NBA's Kyrie Irving is getting worse. He even mentions the fact that he was putting the middle finger against fans on the Boston Celtics game, sharing an image of that on his Twitter. You could go look it up. But Kareem fails to recognize that he was the same person that punched somebody on a basketball game, literally. And it shows that no matter what age, you could get a peak level of ignorance, especially for Kareem currently, as he wants to cut ties for Kyrie Irving and Nike because Kyrie doesn't agree with the same stances he has, which makes absolutely no sense, given the fact that Kareem has been a proponent all the time of the COVID vax completely. But however, coming from somebody who is actually vaccinated myself, I completely disagree with the fact that you should be obligated to get it. And Kyrie Irving did the correct thing if he didn't want to get it. He wasn't hurting anybody at all. Yet Kareem, for some reason, thinks that's the case. And again, I'm vaccinated myself saying this. Yet Kareem keeps talking about conspiracy theories being inaccurate and all of this stuff. Had you said that the COVID vaccine was actually linking to increase in more duration of menstrual cycles 6 months ago, you would be called a conspiracy theorist. But currently, it is actually proven by studies from the NIH that it does confirm that it has a slight increase in menstrual cycle. Thousands of people were reporting previously unusual menstruation patterns after COVID-19 vaccination. But for some reason, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar probably has no idea about those type of stuff or the other cases of myocarditis or the other things that was the reason why people actually had hesitancy. But at the same time, had you ever mentioned this like it's being mentioned currently and it's being confirmed in studies, you would be called an anti-person, somebody who's completely out of sight with reality. And now that reality is part of these things that were labeled conspiracies, complete silence is in part. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is displaying a level of ignorance that is very, very ironic at this point, while he's trying to call somebody else a comical buffoon because of having different opinions. This is the same person that I actually have as the second greatest basketball player of all time. I have Kareem at number 2. So I respect completely his basketball abilities, his skills, and his greatness, and I acknowledge it because reality is reality. Kyrie simply decides to share a video for somebody that Kareem doesn't like. He's also going out of his way to say that this is why Nike should cut ties with him, and try to link it to his previous discussions about Kyrie's stance about COVID overall. But for whatever reason, there's nothing really that crazy being said in the video. If you actually pay attention, I've heard even people like presidents say this before on previous videos. Even JFK would talk about secret societies. And Kyrie is just showing how there's a plague upon us when it came to that video, and how it's overall talking about the New World Order. It's just more terms that are kind of uncomfortable for other people from other opinions, but it's not really anything extremely controversial at all. We have seen what's happened since 2002, many stuff that people have dealt with, and thankfully we are still alive here currently. But for whatever reason, Kareem finds that to be necessary to cut off and to call Kyrie Irving a comical buffoon, saying that because he shared a video of Alex Jones, that he's part of that stench of despicable human beings to be alive, which makes no sense at all. He goes to talk about how when I look at some athletes who have used their status to actually improve society, and he mentions Colin, LeBron, Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Billie Jean King, Arthur Ashe, completely valid for him to mention people that he admires. That doesn't change the fact that Kyrie Irving has done very, very good stuff. If you look previously, how he's helped impoverished communities, how he's helped young people, not just in basketball and studies, how he's actually tried to communicate personally with people that are growing on different platforms, specifically even YouTube. And for whatever reason, that's not important enough for you to actually care about, but you completely dismiss and call somebody a comical buffoon because he has different stances than you. The reality is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is going to have to realize not everybody is going to agree with your stances, and not everybody is forced to do what you are doing. And just because somebody is doing something different than you doesn't mean that now he has to be quote unquote banned from his sponsors, from the ability to make money, from the ability to make actually a living for himself on certain aspects like sponsorships, just because you don't like what he's gearing towards and you think it's dangerous. However, you might be the same person who is completely apologetic about the fact that the same news outlets that were saying these were quote unquote conspiracies are the same ones reporting, as I showed previously, the fact that this is now confirmed as an NIH study. Starting to be concerned if this is actually even Kareem writing these articles, because it doesn't seem like he would write it this way at his age. I don't know if somebody's trying to write for him and putting their own opinions on these matters. However, I'm not going to just try to make assumptions that are not validated, because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is putting these under his name. So I'm going to actually make the correct thought and think that this is indeed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar having these statements on these essays, on these thoughts shared on Substack.